What's going on, traders? We got a lot to talk about. You are not going to want to miss this. Before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So right now we're looking at the SPY daily time frame, and your key levels here is 600, 598. You get below 598, you're heading towards 595 psych level, and then from there you're looking at a move towards 590. Now let's zoom in here, all right? Because I want you guys to really lock in here. 589. All right. If you're bullish, you want bulls to hold 589. As you guys can see, bulls are very much present in this area. You see a lot of bullish wicks in this area. If you cannot hold 589, chances are you're heading towards this gap fill at 584, and you can start heading as low as the 560s. We'll talk about that in another video. Now, if we do just so happen to bounce from here for whatever reason, because our president is, kind of sporadic, he's kind of all over the place when it comes to news. If we just so happen to bounce from here, which I'm not really counting on, but let's say we do bounce from here, you want to see a break back above 610. You get above 610, then chances are you're heading towards 516, between 516, not 516, 616, 620. From there, I do think the top is in, and then you can start seeing downside from there. All right. That's only if we start heading towards all-time highs. Now, key things we want to pay attention to here. The main thing here, we talked about this in the last video, is this evening star pattern on the SPY, which is a very bearish pattern. Not only do you have an evening star pattern, but you have a bearish engulfing pattern. So this is a pretty bad sign if you are looking to be bullish, all right? Now, one thing I always say is that even though you have a bearish pattern or a bullish pattern, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to play out right away. What do I mean by that? You can easily see some type of dead cat bounce from here because we did drop pretty fast Friday, right? You can see a dead cat bounce from here towards 604, 605 before seeing a break back towards the downside. So it's very much possible that we see a bounce from here, all right? Am I counting on it? No, but it is possible, okay? We look at the triple Qs. Same thing with the triple Qs. We hit the top of the symmetrical triangle and then we just immediately reject it from there. All right. You got this massive bearish engulfing candle. You broke below 526, 525 cycle level, and it looks like you're going to head towards the 520s. All right. 520s, between 520 and 518. Again, bulls are very much present here. Not only are they present here, but they're extremely present within the 510 area. So if anything, all right, if more than anything, if you're bullish, if you're being optimistic on the market, you definitely want to see this 510 level hold. Look how many times we bounced from here. Okay. Here, bull stepped in. Here, bull stepped in. Here, you got a few bullish wicks here, but overall, bulls ended up stepping in. Bull stepped in here. So, I mean, very, very key level you want to see hold. You give up 510, chances are you're heading towards 503. You give up 503, start packing your bags. You're heading to the Diddy party, buddy. It's over with for you. All right. That's it. Okay, so that's it for the triple Qs when it comes to downside. In regards to upside, 533. You get above 533, then there's hope. You're heading towards that previous high of 538, 539. And then highest I'm looking at is about 542, between 542, 548. We'll talk about that if we ever get there. But right now, it's just not looking too good. I will say that these bearish patterns are a little too obvious. I will say that much. But again, you got to take what the market gives you. And right now, the market is giving pretty bearish. Okay, so if you decide to get calls from here, bless your heart. Just don't be surprised if your pants are down and you're in the middle of a Diddy party under a pinata. What is the pinata for? I don't know, but you're about to find out, buddy. Oil up. So next up is the VIX. Okay, next up is the VIX. We talked about this multiple times. The VIX. Every time it gets within this 14, 15 strike range, it bounces. All right, it bounces. And for the past 2 weeks, for whatever reason, 2, 3 weeks, you can argue, the VIX gaps up on Monday. All right, here gapped up on a Monday. Here gapped up on a Monday. The last Monday didn't gap up. It pretty much rejected on that Monday. But for the past 2 weeks, every single Monday, the VIX has gapped towards the upside. Can that happen again? Absolutely. Should you take that as a guarantee? No, but obviously the key levels here is between 15 and 14. Every time the VIX gets within that range, it bounces back towards the upside. Right now, I have a target of about 19, 20. Highest I'm looking at is about 22, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes higher than that. We talked about how institutions are in those 27 strike calls for the VIX. And so we're pretty illiquid all the way towards 25. So just don't be surprised if we head this high when it comes to the VIX. And obviously the market would do the inverse of that. So something to pay attention to when you're looking at the VIX. So let's get into some stocks real quick. Well, actually, let's look at Bitcoin first. Sorry, I'm a little sick, so if I'm talking a little weird, then sorry. But right now, Bitcoin. Right now, I just have a short-term target of about 93K, 94K, somewhere around there. I'm not really bullish on Bitcoin. I'm not really bearish on Bitcoin. It's just trading in this range. There's not much to go over here. It did break below the symmetrical triangle. It did break or retested 97K and broke back below it, as you guys can see here. there's just not much to talk about. As long as it trades between 92K and 99K, there's just not much to go over here. You go to the daily time frame here, and once again, if you're new to this YouTube channel, if Bitcoin breaks below 88K, I mean, if you want to play it safe, you could say 87K. It breaks below 87K, you are very, very illiquid to the downside, guys. All right, it gets very ugly. Okay, it gets very ugly. You start heading as low as the 70K. So you definitely want to see Bitcoin hold 88K, between 88K, 87K. All right. Really be careful trading this thing or trading any stocks related to this thing because yeah, once it gets in this area, it gets bad. Once again, I will say this much. Bulls, and I said this before, Bulls are very much present down here at the 92K range. I mean, you see a lot of bullish wicks down here, guys. So these guys get stopped out. Yeah, start praying. Okay, start praying. All right, so that's all I have for Bitcoin. As long as it trades between 92K, 99K, I'm not really bullish. I'm not really bearish. I mean, I guess I'm leaning more bearish than anything, just giving the current conditions of the market. But bulls are just extremely present here. You would need some pretty bad news for us to really stop these guys out. I do think this is the last opportunity for bulls to step in here. And if they don't step in now in regards to Bitcoin heading towards 92K, it's going to get pretty ugly. All right. Start selling the house, start selling the kids, the dog, the cat. Keep the spouse if you need to. I mean, but chances are they're going to cost you a lot of money too. So, yeah, it's going to get bad. All right. It's going to get really bad if Bitcoin stops these guys out of their position. All right. So, that's what I have for Bitcoin. Let's talk about a few stocks. Apple. I like Apple to the downside. You guys know how I feel about Apple. I've been bearish on this thing since earnings. Um, Apple just looks terrible. It doesn't have anything to offer right now. I think they're cooking up something insane, but right now it's just not looking good. So you do have a bear flag. Here's your flag pole here. And so how you would go about measuring a bear flag, right? You bring the flagpole here, you bring it to the breaking point, and Apple can head as low as the 180s. Now, this is the daily time frame. Before you freak out and start losing your minds and be like, "There's no way Apple's heading to 180." This is the daily time frame. This can happen within months. It can happen within a year. All right, it's a long-term time frame. Okay, want to keep that in mind. This isn't the 1 hour time frame we're talking about here. So I'm not saying Apple's going to head to 180 this week or anything. I'm just saying if you're measuring out the flagpole for this bear flag, the measurement or the projected move is all the way towards 185, 180, which I think is an excellent buying opportunity. All right, so that's what I'm looking at for Apple. Nice little bear flag here. You do have somewhat of a gap here at around 235. Very much possible. I mean, you do have a bearish engulfing pattern here as well. Um, but it's just not looking good for Apple, guys. I mean, I just don't have much for it. I've said this in the last video. Let me see. I said this in the last video, right? Or probably a few videos ago. These guys right here, these guys are chilling. These guys are living their best life at the Bahamas on an island somewhere. These shorts right here, they're good. Okay, I told you guys, if Apple gets anywhere near 240, which it attempted to do, it got like to 235. These guys are gonna step in. All right, these guys are gonna step in. So right now, short term, I do think Apple's gonna head towards 220. From there, we'll have to see. Right, long term, I do have a price target of 206, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if Apple does head towards 180 in the long term future. So we'll see. But right now, I mean, nothing about Apple looks good. I do think a bounce is going to happen at around 215, possibly cause the market to bounce higher as well. But yeah, that's really all I have for Apple. It's not much to talk about there. Nvidia. So a lot of you are losing your minds about Nvidia, which I understand. It's Nvidia, right? But I want to point out something to you guys. All right, so let's go over the good stuff first. There's a falling wedge here. Okay, falling wedge, pretty bullish pattern, right? Um, I think it's a trap. That's just me. I could be wrong. But until Nvidia gets above 130, there's not much to talk about. There's a massive, massive wall at 130. Okay, I think you guys seen it just happen in real time Friday. There's a huge wall at 130. All right. Good thing is that Nvidia did mount 128. Okay, 128. You want to see Nvidia mount that, as you guys can see here. I mean, you bounced off it here, you bounced off it here, you consolidated here. So this is a very, very important area here. Me again, I think it's a trap. Um, until Nvidia gets above 130, I wouldn't get excited about any support getting mounted. Okay, if it gets above 130, you're going to the sky. Okay, highest I'm looking at is about 142. I don't think it's going to go any higher than that, at least for the short term. And the reason being, okay, hear me out, because I know a lot of you Nvidia has lose your minds. Um, we go to the monthly time frame. All right, this is where you guys need to lock in here. We go to the monthly time frame. All right, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. All right, so We go all the way to this candle right here. What happened with this candle right here? Again, this is the monthly time frame, right? Very powerful time frame. You headed as high as 140. What happened? Bear stepped in. Okay, let's go a little bit into the future now. Here, right? You headed as high as 144 on this monthly candle. So you wicked all the way towards 144, 145, give or take. Bear stepped in, brought us back below 140, right? Again, next month, you wicked as high as about, what was this? I want to say 150. I can't see it. Here we go. So you wicked as high as about 152 right here. What happened? Bear stepped in. We got back below 140 once again. Here, next month, you wicked as high as 147. What happened? Bear stepped in, got us below 140 once again. Here, 152. Bear stepped in, 140. So hopefully we're picking up on the pattern here. Every time we get above 140, Bear stepped in. Okay, every time we get above 140, Bear stepped in. Ironic enough, where is the gap fill at? 140. Okay, so I'm not saying short Nvidia at 140. All I'm saying is I would not be the one to buy calls at 140 or above when it comes to Nvidia. Okay, shares maybe, calls again. Don't be surprised if you under that pinata at a Diddy party. All right, that's all I'm saying. All right, maybe you into that stuff, but yeah, here I most likely was short here. I mean, and even here, right? You look at the daily time frame here. Even here, look at these bears. These silverback gorillas. These aren't even normal bears anymore. These are grizzlies. These are polar bears. These are um I don't know. These are freaking Taurus or something. I don't know. These are psychotic silverback gorillas at this point. They evolved. Okay, these bears here. You're gonna fight against these guys. Good luck. All right. The only thing that can possibly save Nvidia here is earnings. I don't think Nvidia is going to break past these guys. Bears are extremely present in this area. Even here, I mean, you don't need a volume profile to see this. Look how strong bears are in this area. These guys are foaming at the mouth. They're drooling. They have rabies. They are ready to bite you. All right. I don't know. Me personally, I will look for shorts in this area. I know it's Nvidia. You don't want to short Nvidia. I understand, but this doesn't look like, yeah, get calls. You'll be fine. You'll totally profit here. It doesn't look like that. All right. I'm just saying. All right. Tesla. Tesla just looks terrible. All right, it finally broke below this range. I think Tesla is going to continue to head further to the downside. 330. If it gives up 360, you're looking at a move towards the 330s. Simple as that. You do have a gap fill at around 344. Lowest Tesla can go is about 310. All right, I just there's nothing to talk about when it comes to upside here. If it does see upside, it's just simply creating a lower high. Simple as that. I just don't see it. Okay. I can't be bullish on Tesla right now. It's not showing me that it's bullish. Um, oh, another thing in regards to Nvidia, I don't think I talked about levels. 120, you really want to see 120 hold. If Nvidia gives up 120, start packing. All right, it gets very ugly. Your chances are, if you give up 120 again on Nvidia, chances are you're heading towards the 100s at that point. You guys already know how I feel about that. I already think Nvidia is heading towards 100. I don't care what bounce it does. Even if it gets to 140, I still think it's heading towards 100. Simple as that. And so that's really all I have when it comes to Nvidia, Tesla. I think it's gonna crash and burn. Simple as that. I don't have much for Tesla when it comes to upside. I think it's gonna head towards the 330s. It gives up 360. Um, Minimum, I guess 345 gap fill, but from there it gets really ugly when it comes to Tesla. And so that's really all I have for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys have any questions. I see every comment. I try to respond to every single comment. So yeah, let me know if you agree, disagree. If you don't agree, keep it respectful as always. Until the next video, traders, have you a good one.